House Joint Resolution 192. So I got this information from the Library of Congress. Once again, I am not about to read over this. You can Google this information. This is a certified copy. Statutes at Large, United States of America, blah, blah, blah. The authentic path may take you longer, but the moves and impact will forever be legendary. I'm only a guidepost, not my words, it's the government's words. I get most of my information from government websites and law, so I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you. Bye.
House Joint Resolution 192 Public Law 73 to 10. To assure uniform value to the coins and currencies of the United States, whereas the holding of or dealing in gold affect public interest, and are therefore subject to proper regulation and restriction, and whereas the existing emergency has disclosed that provisions of obligations which purport to give the obligee a right to require payment in gold or a particular kind of coin or currency of the United States, or in an amount in money of the United States measured thereby, obstruct the power of the Congress to regulate the value of the money of the United States, and are inconsistent with the declared policy of the Congress to maintain at all times the equal power of every dollar, coined or issued by the United States, in the markets and in the payment of debts. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate and House of T Representative of the United States of America in Congress assembled, that every provision contained in or made with respect to any obligation which purports to give the obligee a right to require payments in gold or a particular kind of coin or currency, or in an amount in money of the United States measured thereby, is declared to be against public policy, and no such provision shall be contained in or made with respect to any obligation hereafter incurred. Every obligation, heretofore or hereafter incurred, whether or not any such provision is contained therein or made with respect thereto, shall be discharged upon payment, dollar for dollar, in any coin or currency which at time of payment is legal tender for public and private debts. Any such provision contained in any law authorizing obligations to be issued by or under authority of the United States is hereby repealed, but the repeal of any such provision shall not invalidate any other provision or authority contained in such law. b. As used in this resolution, the term obligation means any obligation, including every obligation of and to the United States, excepting currency payable in money of the United States, and the term coin or currency means coin or currency of the United States, including Federal Reserve notes and circulating notes of Federal Reserve banks and national banking associations. Sec. 2. The last sentence of paragraph 1 of subsection B of section 43 of the Act entitled, "An Act to Relieve the Existing National Economic Emergency by Increasing Agricultural Purchasing Power, to raise revenue for extraordinary expenses incurred by reason of such emergency, to provide emergency relief with respect to agricultural indebtedness, to provide for the orderly liquidation of joint stock land banks, and of other purposes," approved May 12, 1933, is amended to read as follows: all coins and currencies of the United States, including Federal Reserve notes and circulating notes of the Federal Reserve banks and national banking associations, heretofore or hereafter coined or issued, shall be legal tender for all debts, public and private, public charges, taxes, duties, and dues, except that gold coins, when below the standard weight and limit of tolerance provided by law for the single piece, shall be legal tender only at valuation in proportion to their actual weight. Approved June 5, 1933. 4:40 p.m. 31 USCA 462. 463 House Joint Resolution 192. 73D Congress. Says. I. Ch. 48. June 5, 1933, Public Law No. 10. The term, obligation or other security of the United States, includes all bonds, certificates of indebtedness, national bank currency, Federal Reserve notes, Federal Reserve Bank notes, coupons, United States notes, Treasury notes, gold certificates, silver certificates, fractional notes, certificates of deposit, bills, checks, or drafts for money, drawn by or upon authorized officers of the United States, stamps and other representatives of value, of whatever denomination, issued under any act of Congress, and canceled United States stamps. 1 U.S. Code Section 3123 Payment of Obligations and Interest on the Public Debt. A. The faith of the United States government is pledged to pay, in legal tender, principal and interest on the obligations of the government issued under this chapter. B. The Secretary of the Treasury shall pay interest due or accrued on the public debt. As the Secretary considers expedient, the Secretary may pay in advance interest on the public debt by a period of not more than 1 year, with or without a rebate of interest on the coupons. C. U.S. Code Notes. 1. The Secretary may issue a bond, note, or certificate of indebtedness authorized under this chapter whose principal and interest are payable in a foreign currency stated in the bond, note, or certificate. The Secretary may dispose of the bonds, notes, and certificates at a price that is at least par value without complying with Section 3102b(d) of this title. 2. In determining the dollar amount of bonds, notes, and certificates of indebtedness that may be issued under this chapter, the dollar equivalent of the amount of bonds, notes, and certificates payable in a foreign currency is determined by the par of the exchange value on the date of issue of the bonds, notes, or certificates as published by the Secretary under Section 5151 of this title. 3. The Secretary may designate depositaries in foreign countries in which any part of the proceeds of bonds, notes, or certificates of indebtedness payable in the foreign currency may be deposited. Pub. L 97-258. Sept. 13. 1982. 96 Stat. 945. Lea greater than Wex greater than obligation. Obligation. The popular meaning of the term, obligation, is a duty to do or not to do something. In its legal sense, obligation is a civil law concept. An obligation can be created voluntarily, such as one arising from a contract, quasi-contract, or unilateral promise. An obligation can also be created involuntarily, such as an obligation arising from torts or a statute, e.g. California Uniform Interstate Family Support Act. An obligation binds together two or more determinate persons. Therefore, the legal meaning of an obligation does not only denote a duty, but also denotes a correlative right. One party has an obligation means another party has a correlative right. The person or entity who is liable for the obligation is called obliger. The person or entity who holds the correlative right to an obligation is called obligee. Some common uses of the term, obligation, in a legal sense include: the term, contractual obligation, refers to the duty to pay or perform some certain acts created by a contract or an agreement. Conditional obligation means the duty to pay or perform certain acts depending on the happening of an event. Current obligation means the obligation that is currently enforceable. Heritable obligation means a legal obligation or the related right is not ended by the death of the person who was liable for the obligation or who held the right. The heritable obligation. The Louisiana Civil Code 1765 stipulates that an obligation is heritable when its performance may be enforced by a successor of the obligee or against a successor of the obliger. Last updated in July of 2021 by the Wextonitions team.
Well, it's not my words. I just find the information and I give it to you guys. So I hope you enjoyed. I'm out. Bye.
All right, today we're going to talk about how we can find out and how much we can find out and what it takes to get there. So first we have to decide how much do we want to find out. So let's say in this case, I want to find out at a level of 7. Okay, so I find that level on my graph and I come horizontally to my gradient line. Where it intersects with my gradient line, I'm going to come straight down to where it intersects with my fuck around line. That there is going to tell me how much I have to fuck around to find out what I need to find out. See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. And also, if you stay down here and you never fuck around, you'll never find out. So I hope this lesson is helpful. Thank you.